Good morning, my dear friends. In the last class, we understood by discussing elaborately the topic called time of supply, which is very much important at this point of time to know the due date to pay the GST, thereby to avoid the interest penalties. In this regard, in the last class, we referred supply of goods, forward charge applies, time of supply other than specified actionable claims is the date of invoice or last date to issue the invoice, whichever is earlier. In the case of specified actionable claims, which is lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, casino, or online money gaming, 6 points are there. For that is considered date of invoice, date of last date to issue invoice, or date of payment among the three, whichever is earlier. And also we referred in the last class by inviting the attention on the part of supply of services, forward charge apply, what is the time of supply. In this regard, my dear friends, we understood in the last class the date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. If invoice date is the date within 30 days from the date of completion of supply of service. Otherwise, the date of completion of supply of service or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Here the payment plays vital role. Payment date is nothing but payment date is equal to date of book entry or date of making the credit to the bank account of the supplier among the two, whichever is earlier. In this regard, we referred a numeric problem in the last class. The advance received, thereafter service rendered, thereafter invoice issued, thereafter payment received. What is the time of supply? Time of supplies. In this regard, for time of supply, for supply of services, advance payment always time of supply. Whereas supply of goods, other than the specified actionable claims, advance payment is not a time of supply. Up to this, in the last class we discussed. Correct, my dear friends. Now, furthermore, we are looking forward. Time of supply for supply of goods, reverse charge applies, means RCM. Who liable to pay GST? The recipient liable to pay GST. In the last class, I referred to you Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited versus Divan Chand Ram Saran case, where the recipient liable to pay the tax, he cannot shift the responsibility to pay the tax to the supplier. He can shift the burden of payment of tax to supplier. In this regard, I am now bringing notice recipient liable to pay GST. There are notified goods are there, notified services are there. Upon the recommendation of the GST Council, we have notified goods like tendu, BD leaves, cashew nuts not shelled, not peeled, or tobacco leaves, or otherwise the government selling the seized goods, or the what we can call confiscated goods, or their old furniture, they're coming forward to sell, or same apply. Forward for the latest amendment is there, metal scrap supplied by the supplier is uninsured person to the recipient, he is a registered person, the recipient liable to pay GST under the RCM in the case of supply of goods. In fact, lottery also is who liable to pay GST. In the case of lottery, which is one of the specified actionable claims, the liable to pay the GST is on the recipient. In the case of lottery, the suppliers are the authorized persons as per the Constitution of India is the state government, if not local authorities, are allowed to supply the namely lottery, where the recipient being a agent of selling that lottery ticket, he is a recipient of that particular goods to sell in the market. In that case, being agent, lottery tickets seller is liable to pay GST as a recipient. So the list is there, we refer again. It is not that I am just leaving this particular section. 9 subsection 3, where supply of goods RCM applies on notified goods. I will take up that under the topic called reverse charge mechanism. For the time being, what is the time of supply? If the recipient liable to pay GST, what is the time of supply in case of supply of goods? After covering that, I will take up the supply of services RCM applies. Now we are referring section 12 subsection 3, which is RCM applies in case of reverse charge supply of goods takes place. Reverse charge. where there are 3 points has been identified. One, date of receipt of goods. Two, date of payment, which is book entry or bank entry of the recipient. Recipient in the sense what? When the recipient make the payment, he made a book entry and the banker given a debit to the recipient account is a date of payment. Or date immediately after expiry of 30 days from the date of invoice by the supplier. Here we have mind-blowing points. I will refer to you. For the time you understand first content. One, there are 3 points are there. Supply of goods, forward charge apply is clear, already covered. There we have been stated that supply of goods, forward charge apply, advance payment never going to qualify for time of supply purpose, correct? But that concept, notification number 66 oblique 2017 not apply for reverse charge. Even supply of goods, reverse charge is considered the 3 points as stated in section 12 subsection 3. 1, date of receipt of goods. 2, date of payment by the recipient. Recipient book entry or recipient bank are given the debit to the bank account of the recipient of that particular goods, whichever is earlier, date of payment. The third category is the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from the date of invoice. Now, invoice, from the date of invoice, correct? I will come to that. Among the three, whichever is earlier. Now, a case where supplier is a registered person, recipient is an unregistered person. If that supply is under RCM, who will issue the invoice? Supplier will issue the invoice. Am I right? From the date of invoice, 30 days. Compare with date of payment or date of receipt of the goods. Among the whichever is earlier. Is clear? Now, there are cases where, especially if you take here, cashew-nut not peeled, not shelled. Supplier is agriculturalist, recipient is a registered person. The liability to pay the GST and the RCM, namely under the in the hands of the recipient. Likewise, sometimes before I told you latest amendment, metal scrap, who supplied it? Unregistered person. To whom supplied it? Registered person. Who liable to pay GST? Recipient liable to pay GST. Correct? Now the point here is, if the recipient is liable to pay GST, supplier is an unregistered person, this particular third point is there, no my dear? The first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from date of invoice. Whose invoice it is? Supplier cannot issue the tax invoice because supplier is an unregistered person. Who should issue the invoice? Here the law says, as per section 31, subsection 3, clause F. Speak out. Section 31, subsection 3, clause F, where the recipient, hey, you are liable to issue tax invoice against you. Okay, sir. For me, what is the time limit to issue the invoice? Generally, for a supplier of services or supplier of goods, you take supplier of goods. Supplier of goods, we're talking. Supplier of the goods, when should issue invoice? As per section 31, subsection 1, clause A. If there is a movement of the goods on or before the movement of the goods. If section 31, subsection 1, clause B. If there is no movement of the goods on or before supply. We discussed now. Last date to issue invoice. But here the recipient is liable to pay GST on receipt of the goods, on procurement of the goods. If the recipient liable to pay GST, 30 days time period from the date of invoice means that invoice who should issue means the invoice should be issued by the recipient being a registered person, since supplier is a registered person. If the recipient is liable to issue invoice, what is the time limit mentioned here means, as per section 31 subsection 3 clause F, hey Mr. Recipient, you receive the goods or you receive the services, for commonly said, within 30 days from the date of the receipt of the goods or services, you should have to issue invoice. Is clear? From the date of invoice, 30 days, or date of payment, or date of receipt of the goods, among three, whichever is earlier, is the time of supply. See, now we always depending on section 31 series. Why? Because when I say tax invoice, without which I cannot look into the time of supply. Time of supply chapter section 12 series of the CGST is closely associated, linked with tax invoice, debit note, credit note chapter. Tax invoice, debit note, credit note is a chapter commencing from section 31. So, what I said now here is very simple. Under section 12, section 3, time of supply, reverse charge. 1, date of invoice, I mean to say the date of receipt of the goods. 2, date of payment. 3, the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from the date of invoice. Among the three, whichever is earlier. Now the last point, the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from the date of invoice. That invoice issued by whom? Is a supplier, is a recipient. Now here I mentioned supplier, by the supplier. I can say that by the supplier, I can say that, or by the supplier or recipient. It happens to be, who asked you to go there? Here you stand. Now, by the supplier or by the recipient. From where you get this point means refer. Just now I said the section 31 subsection 3 clause F, that I am referring here as follows. That is derived from the invoice chapter, tax invoice chapter. That provision, if I show to you, you will get a clarity in this. Only the recipient liable to issue invoice when the supplier is a unregistered person, recipient is a registered person, and the recipient liable to pay GST under RCM. In that case, the recipient bound to issue tax invoice within 30 days from the date of receipt of the goods or services commonly given, which I am now referring to you for your kind consideration, is as follows on the screen now. I had to issue the what we can call the book, sir. Book already prepared, amma. Workbook also I should have finalized. Maybe today I sent for printing. By this weekend you will get the books. 2 books you have to get. One is the handbook. Other one is workbook. Workbook around 350 plus problems are there. 350 plus problems are there. If you work out the problems, you get a clarity on the subject. See, numeric values easy to remember than that of provision. So provision, if you understand with the numerics, even after you qualify, I am guaranteeing you, my dear, you won't forget. So in this process, look on the screen. Once I give the material, you can able to have it. For the time, just relax, listen. I will take care. Don't worry at all. You will understand. Invoice and payment of voucher by person liable to pay tax and reverse charge. I will read for a kind consideration. A registered person liable to pay tax under reverse charge, both for supplies on which tax is payable in reverse charge mechanism, and the supplies received from unregistered person which is suspended, no problem. Now they have been this bracket what is there, you can coolly ignore also, I can say that, because it is with regard to the legislative history till 31st March 2018, and now we are 2025. So coolly ignore. So I am just reading. A registered person liable to pay tax and reverse charge has to issue an invoice in respect of the goods or services both received by him. Such a registered person in respect of such supplies also is liable has to issue a payment voucher in the case of payment received in advance. Okay, now come to this point. This is the important pyramid as well. Amended one, this one. I am talking about this one. Invoice by a person liable to pay tax under reverse charge, section 31, subsection 3, clause F of the CGST Act. A registered person who is liable to pay the tax under subsection 3 of the clause F or subsection whatever may be. Subsection 4 is a new point which I refer on. I am referring section 9.3. So reverse charge. Whoever may be issued the tax liable to pay GST under 9.3 shall be issue an invoice in respect of goods or services. They mention goods or services are both received by him from the supplier who is not registered on the date of receipt of the goods or both. When should be issued? Furthermore, here, invoice by a person liable to pay tax and reverse charge, section 31, subsection 3, clause G, where time limit has been prescribed by referring rule number 47, capital A. So much is there. Time limit for issue of self invoice. It is clear who liable to issue invoice? A recipient. When the supplier is a unregistered person, as per section 31, subsection 3, clause A. In that case, clause G says, section 31, subsection 3, clause G says that you issue the invoice here. Who is shall issue the invoice with the relevant means. I hear 1 minute. Wait, shall issue payment subscription invoice shall make in the payment. Okay, this amendment says that clause F expression clause F, who supplier who is not registered shall include the supplier who is registered solely for the purpose of deduction of tax. Okay, the expression is only given here. Thereafter, then fine. Come directly here. Clause F only they are referring. Clause G is not relevant because clause G given the expression who is the unregistered person being a supplier. This point, clause Z of section 31, subsection 3, I will refer later on. But I am focusing attention on section 31, subsection 3, clause F, where the recipient liable to pay tax under RCM, supplier is an unregistered person, the recipient liable to issue the invoice, tax invoice on his own account against him. What is the time period? Means the time period has been prescribed within a period of 30 days from the date of receipt of the said supply of goods or services or both, as the case may be. So knowing this fact, please come back to our regular study, my dear friends. Actually, where we are? We are in the section 12, subsection 3, where we crystal clearly got it, a concept. Who issue the invoice? In case of supplier is an registered person, recipient registered person, recipient liable to pay tax, recipient only liable to issue invoice. If the supplier registered person, who required to issue the invoice? Supplier should issue the invoice. Supplier liable to issue the invoice. For him, in case of supply of goods, he should issue the invoice when? When should issue invoice? On or before the movement of the goods or on or before the sale. So in this regard, we are coming back to our regular study and referring to you here. Furthermore, section 12.3, with applications. Section 12.3 with applications. We are here. Now tell me, time of supply. For supply of goods, reverse charge applies. 1. Date of receipt of goods. 2. Date of payment. Inside, date of payment means book entry or banker given the debit to the recipient account, whichever is earlier. Okay. Bank date of payment. Third one, the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from the date of invoice, issue of invoice. Is clear as sir? Then how we should further among three, whichever is earlier is the time of supply, how to understand this? Let us take numeric example from our workbook. Time of supply in case of reverse charge apply. Section 12, subsection 3. Yes, this question will be more suitable, seems to be. Okay. Now we wanted to know the information with regard to the notification number 66/217 is applicable for reverse charge. That also I brought your notice. We said it is not applicable. Only it is a forward charge only applies. Now you take this point, my dear friends. One problem. Simple problem I am referring. Determine the time of supply from the given information. Is visible to all of you? Okay. Fine. March 10th, supplier invoices goods taxable on reverse charge basis to Sumit Traders Private Limited. 5th April, Sumit Trader Private Limited received the goods which were held up in transit. 1st May, Sumit Traders makes the payment. So there are three events are given. One is called date of issue of invoice, 10th March. Goods received when? 5th April. And payment made, makes the payment 1st May. So we want 3 points, 3 dates. Tell me what are the dates we want here? One is, we want here 3 dates. Date of receipt of the goods. Date of the receipt of the goods. Question number 12. Yes. Here. date of receipt of the goods. So you tell me my difference here. Date of receipt of goods is equal to, when we got it, it is 10th, no, 5th, 5th April, 5th, one data, then second date. You tell me here, date of payment. When you say date of payment is what date? First May. A simplified one, just a illustrative manner presenting. Third one is first day after expiry of 30 days from the date of invoice. Now, when the invoice issued? 10th March, March 10th. 30 days count start from next day, 11th of March. So, in the month of March, 31 days minus 10. Count start from 11th of March, 21 days, March month. By adding 9 days in the month of April, 30 days are over. 10th of April is the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days. So, 10th April is clear, bro? Now, among the three, which is earlier? 5th April or 1st May or 10th April? 5th April. Then I can say that in the given case, here, time of supply, in a simplified manner to say that, here itself I can say, in the given case, whichever is earlier, if there is a case, time of supply is equal to 5th April. A simplified illustration. Here what happened, supplier itself issue the invoice. If the supplier not issue the invoice, who should issue the invoice? Recipient liable to issue the invoice. In that case, time limit to issue the invoice even for supply of goods, supply of services is 30 days from the date of receipt of goods or services or both. So why I am telling this point means, this point are going to be tested in the multiple choice questions. As you are aware of that question, one question compulsory, multiple choice questions. Mandatory it is to answer. MCQs, they will pull this. In the case of supplier is a unregistered person, recipient registered person, liable to pay GST under RCM, then the recipient liable to issue the invoice within dash number of days from dash date. Within 30 days from the dash means from the receipt of. You have to mention this too. Like this tricky manner they will ask in the examination. Now please come back. So I refer to just illustrative manner one example by bringing the concept of this particular time of supply, supply of goods under the reverse charge. I will bring comprehensive problems after covering furthermore one more provision. Quite of this supply of goods, we have to refer parallelly supply of service also. How we discussed it, forward charge, supply of goods, forward charge, supply of services. Like that, now I am referring forward, the reverse charge, supply of goods, you got it. What you got it? Date of receipt of the goods, date of payment, the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from the date of invoice. Got the point, sir? The same thing I have been mentioned. See, in the examination point of view, you have to work out at your end. In the class, you concentrate by listening the provision and apply the provision by answering this. I am not recommending to record the solution in the notebook and all. You have to have a calculator, a piece of notebook for having the working paper, working note. Like that, you just work out, tell these answers. Thereby, we can save the time, valuable time, and we can focus. Instead of answering 10 problems, we can answer 20 problems in the class. To the extent possible, the workbook I will going to be covered entire, maximum extent possible. Some of the simple points I will ask you to go ahead by yourself. You got my points, sir? Here you see what are the first point? You see 5th April, 1st May, 10th April. See the first day that occur after expiry of that means 10th April. You got it? Got it? Means what? count reckon from next day. Invoice issue today, Raja. 30 days time period count reckon no from next day. After expiry of that first day. So 10th April only we got here. The 10th April we got here because of here we properly understood and applied. What we applied? The date of invoice is what date of invoice here? Date of invoice 10th March. Count reckon from next day means 11th of March. 11th of March to 9th of April, 30 days. Computer, the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from date of invoice is to be counted like this. So exactly we have been arrived the value. Time of supply is 5th of March. Time of supply 5th of time of supply 5th of 5th of April, no, 5th of April. Time of supply 5th of April. Same answer. Time of supply 5th April. We got it. Is clear, sir? And I brought this only to have the competition application. Doubt will come. Doubt will come, sir. First day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from date of invoice. Okay, invoice date is 10th of March. So 10th of March we have to count 30 days, or from next day we have to count the next 30 days. We have to count next day onwards 30 days. Is clear? That doubt to avoid only I brought this to notice. Now it won't become doubt. Generally, when you go and sit and work out the problem, no, if mismatching the answers, which date to be count reckoned? Get my point, sir? Further. Now please come back. Once you understand this, correspondingly and parallelly I am referring section 13 subsection 3, which talks about time of supply for supply of services. RCM applies. என்ன சொல்லு ராஜு. Under reverse charge வரும்போது under reverse charge, even though the invoice which we have been issued in violation of section 31 subsection 1 or section 31 subsection 3, as the case may be, that is always later, na? But what we are referring, whichever is earlier. When you go whichever is earlier, even in the given case of supply of goods, in case of supply of goods, my dear sir, just now we referred, no, the reverse charge category, supply of goods. Here, in the given case, final output is what? Whichever is earlier. What is the doubt here is, one of our friend, suppose if this invoice not issued, means not this one, the invoice issued by the recipient, where the recipient liable to issue invoice is violated section 31 subsection 3 clause F within 30 days from the date of the goods not issued. Okay. When issued? After 80 days he issued, sir. From the receipt of the goods he issued after 80 days. That will be very far away, no, from here. We never going to go with that date. Why? Why? Because whichever is earlier. So here we will consider that date also, even the invoice issued after 30 days from the date of the receipt of the goods, we will take up that invoice date, comparing with the date of payment, comparing with the date of receipt of the goods, date of receipt of the goods, date of payment, date of invoice. That invoice may be issued by supplier or may be issued by recipient. It is in accordance with the provision of the GST law or not, in violation, as the case may be. Take the three, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier concept I brought to your notice is that reason only. Even supply of goods, forward charge apply, other than the online money gaming, other than the specified actionable claims. Date of invoice in case of supply invoice movement of the goods, you should issue the invoice on or before movement of the goods, correct? On or before movement of the goods, issue the invoice. And last day to issue invoice means at the time of movement of the goods, whichever is earlier. Is clear? Now, invoice not issued, sir, in accordance with section 31(1), later on issued after dispatch of the goods issued, sir. No problem. That in that case, take that invoice date, compare with last day to issue invoice, which is earlier. Which is earlier? Last day to issue invoice only. I have given to you a clue. If it is invoice issued at a later date after the expiry of the time period given to issue the invoice, that invoice not required to be referred, because which is not going to play any vital role, I say. But better to say the date of invoice or last day to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. If you honor the provision, date of invoice is the time of supply. If not honor the provision, last day to issue invoice is the time of supply. Now got the clarity, my dear friend? Yes? The problem you asking me, okay? Okay. April 5th? யார் சொன்னா? Last day to issue invoice April 5th. No, my dear. See, நீங்க வந்து அதுதான் கான்சென்ட்ரேஷனா இருந்தா, first of all, who has to issue the invoice in the given problem? Who has to issue the invoice? Supplier. Correct, Baba? Supplier liable to issue invoice, because supplier only issue invoice. Here nowhere said there is supplier additional person. Supplier additional person. Okay. In that case, when the goods has been dispatched, you are talking here 5th April, the date on which receive the goods. நீங்க புரிஞ்சுக்கிறது தப்பா புரிஞ்சுக்கிறீங்க. You understanding other way around. I have said very clearly in the last class, when should issue the invoice? In case of supply of goods. Supply of goods. Forward charge apply. Forward charge apply. Appo, who has to issue the invoice? Supplier, because supplier is a person. எப்போ இஷ்யூ பண்ணணும் சொல்லுங்க. When issue? When means before dispatch or before at the time of sale, at least on or before movement. In case of there is involvement of movement of the goods. If no involvement of movement of goods, date of supply, namely sale. Correct, sir? Correct, Amma? If you have this concept, keep this concept in your mind. இப்போ இங்கே வரும்போது the 5th of April, Summit traders received the goods which were held up in transit, therefore later on received. Now, within 30 days from the date of receipt of the goods, 5th April, invoice will be issued by the recipient if the recipient liable to issue the invoice. Correct, Tamil? இந்த இடத்துலமா recipient is not issue the invoice. RCM da. See, all RCM not mean that recipient should issue the invoice. See, advocate karpa, advocate. Advocate is a registered person, for example. Provide these services to Bharadwaj Institute, registered person. Both are registered persons, sir. Supply of services. But this service falls under RCM. In that case, who should issue invoice? Supplier. Since supplier is a person. Likewise, supply of goods also, if there is transaction between B2B, between two registered persons, Supplier is a registered person, recipient also registered person, but RCM apply. In that case, who should issue the invoice? Supplier should issue the invoice. If the supplier issue the invoice, it is not under section 31, subsection 3, clause F. It is under section 31, subsection 1, clause A or clause B. Where we understood invoice should be issued when should be issued the invoice means, look here my dear, invoice should be issued in case where supply involves movement of the goods. Supply involves movement of the goods. Here, before the movement of the honor with movement of the goods, or I can simplify it manner to say that date of invoice or date of a dispatch, last date to issue invoice. Date of invoice or last date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. Here, if there is no supply invoice movement of the goods, supplier should issue the invoice. Section 31, subsection 1, clause A, clause B, a common. Whether recipient liable to pay tax, supplier liable to pay tax, hey Mr. Supplier, you registered person, ஆமா சார் நான் registered person சார். Then இது உங்களோட பொறுப்பு, issue the invoice. எப்போ issue பண்ணணும்? If you supply the goods on or before dispatch of the goods, if not on or before sale of the goods, issue invoice, which says 31(1), clause A, clause B. Is clear? That one we are utilizing under section 12, subsection 2, forward charge. Is clear? That we are utilizing that section 31(1), clause A, clause B under section 12, subsection 3, reverse charge. இப்போ reverse charge le, who should issue the invoice? In our given problem, in this given problem, who should issue the invoice? Supplier issue the invoice. If the supplier liable to issue invoice, our கேக்குறாரு, ஐயா தமிழ் cost accountant, tell me when I should issue the invoice. நீ கேட்கணும், நீங்க supplier recipient, நான் supplier சார். In accordance with section 31(F), 31(1), clause A. அது என்ன சொல்றது? Issue the invoice on or before dispatch of the goods. issue பண்ணிட்டேன் சார் நான். அந்த கூட்ஸ் வந்து சேர்ந்துச்சு அட் a later date. யாருக்கு பிளேஸ்ல? ரிசீவர் பிளேஸ்ல. 10th மார்ச்க்கு நான் இஷ்யூ பண்ண கூட்ஸ் அண்ணா போய் சேர்ந்துச்சு எப்போ? 5th of April. அதுக்கு நான் இஷ்யூ பண்ண இன்வாய்ஸ் நான் இஷ்யூ பண்ணிட்டேன் நானே. புரியுதா சார்? recipient is liable to pay tax, supplier is an uninsured person. அப்போதான் தமிழ் நம்ம பார்க்க வேண்டும் என்ன? recipient liable to issue the invoice இல்லையா? அப்போ எப்போ வந்து சேர்ந்துச்சு உங்களுக்கு? 5th of April. அப்போ நந்தே 30 daysக்குள்ள should issue the invoice. அது new provision, amendment provision I referred to you. Section 31, subsection 3, clause F, read with rule number 47, capital A. புரிஞ்சிச்சா இப்போ? Super. Yes. Target is 98. Mission 98. You know what I says? 97 only got 98. Why not? You are listening the subject with resource person. Do not compromise. Ask the doubt. If you have doubt means, if you not ask the doubt means in the class, later on you asking the doubt means you may forget also. The person standing in front of you out of passion of teaching coming here. Just to show you only one thing. Yesterday, because I want to bring the confident where I am going, what I am getting, who is the person giving what, is a worthy person to give the information to us to shape the bright manner in the future for us. You should know. Coming here by 6 o'clock means how much efforts you are taking. I know that. Unless you woke up by 4 o'clock, 4:30 and made preparation, you cannot come here at 6 o'clock. You should be worthy. See, your faculty is worthy for that. I'm telling you, you came to the right place. Just one information I will show you. Yesterday, SIS chairman called me. Sir, Rafi sir, I'm going through a book, sir. I'm very happy to note, sir, that Bhadla publication of final book of CSCMA. Sir, we have a GST Day celebrations of the CMA Institute in the Vani Mahal. Why don't you please come and take one paper presentation, sir, for 1 hour for our members? Just I said, okay, sir, I will definitely come, sir. I will take up, sir, for 1 hour. Immediately, the staff approaches and made brochure also they sent. I'm not telling you by saying that I'm not going to get any single rupee from you. I'm not intention to get that single rupee extra from you. But I'm telling you the faculty what you are referring is how worthy it is. I'm referring to you. Just look here, my dear. On the screen I will show you to all of you. Yesterday only they prepared the brochure and sent to me. If you refer here, the institute celebration, one commissioner IRS, thereafter one IRS, Srivasan sir, before the Nasser Khan sir, thereafter these are the department officials, commissioner officer, additional deputy director of NASIN. Means it is our GST customs head he is. And next to that, your faculty standing in front of you, politely by holding the hands. Paper presenter, along with the officials. So, what I try to say is, you came to right place. Ask the doubt, get clarified. 99.99% I will clarify your doubt. If you ask such a doubt means, if I am not able to answer, 0.01% probability is there. That I will tell you, sir, can you permit me? I will refer and come back to you, sir. தப்பே இல்லையே, தப்பே இல்லை, கரெக்டாக சொல்லணும் இல்லையா, சொன்ன இல்லையா, கரெக்டாக இருக்கணும், ப்ரொசீஜர் இருக்கணும். வாட் எவர் ஐ சே, I should have to have a notification or a circular or an act or a rule or a clarification, if not expert opinion on the given place where there is the absence of the provision, clear-cut information is given, then the interpretation made by the experts will be considered as a whole good. I will consider that. So the GST law is to be read in the combination of act, rules, notifications, circulars, case studies. Is a source of GST. Just now I referred like that rule number 47 capital A. It says 30 days time period. Section 31 section 3 clause F says that issue the invoice as per the relevant date. Relevant date means date where mentioned, rule mentioned. Section says recipient is liable to issue invoice when supplier is an uninsured person, RCM apply. Supplier is an uninsured person, condition number 1, tick. Condition number 2, recipient uninsured person, tick. Condition number 3 is RCM, tick. The 3 conditions are satisfied. Who is liable to issue the invoice? Recipient liable to issue invoice. That invoice should be issued within 30 days as per rule number 47A. From the date of receipt of the goods or services. Commonly given this, goods and services are both. Whereas 31(1) says that supplier, you supply the goods, you are issued person, yes sir. For you, you liable to issue the invoice on or before the dispatch. In case of supply invoice, movement of the goods. If not, on or before the sale, where there is no supply, there is supply does not involve movement of goods. It is a common factor that we are utilizing in the time of supply, in the case of forward charge apply, in the case of reverse charge apply. Is clear, my dear friends? Now where we are actually, we are under the RCM, mama. We are in the...
Hello.
Yes, Guru.
So, sir, in the second point, the date of payment, you are mentioning it's a book entry or bank entry, whichever is earlier, right, sir? So, if
1 minute, Amma. I will show the provision also. Yes. Yeah.
So, the book entry, you mean the receivable entry, which we account in our now, if we give 30 days of credit period to our customers.
Correct. Okay. Simple. Forward charge, supplier liable to pay tax. From supplier point of view, books of accounts. Supplier books அங்கே என்னைக்கு வந்துச்சு பேமெண்ட் புக் என்ட்ரி, என்னைக்கு பேமெண்ட் கிரெடிட் இன்டு பேங்க் அக்கௌண்ட் சப்ளையர் அக்கௌண்ட், விச் எவர் இஸ் எர்லியர். RCM பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் வியூ பார்க்கும்போது புக் என்ட்ரி ஆஃப் தி recipient, book debited the bank account debited by the banker of the recipient. Banker giving the debit to the bank recipient account is equal to banker giving the credit to supplier account. So நீங்க from whose context you are referring? From supplier context? Yes, as you said, right. If you refer the recipient point of view, recipient liable to pay tax, recipient book of accounts, book entry, recipient bank account debited by the banker, whichever is earlier. As simple as that. Is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, correspondingly, I am referring supply of services RCM apply section 13 subsection 3, which is as follows, my dear friends. நம்ம ஒரு ஃப்ளோவில் போவோம். ஃபஸ்ட்டு நம்ம என்ன சொல்லியிருந்தோம்? ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஒன்று சப்ளை ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் ஃபார்வர்ட் சார்ஜ் அப்ளை டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை, சப்ளை ஆஃப் சர்வீசஸ் ஃபார்வர்ட் சார்ஜ் அப்ளை டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை. ஒன் லேயர் முடிஞ்சிச்சு. செகண்ட் லேயர் சப்ளை ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை இன் கேஸ் ஆஃப் RCM அப்ளை. இப்போ நான் என்ன ரெஃபர் பண்ண போகிறேன்? சப்ளை ஆஃப் சர்வீசஸ் RCM அப்ளை டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை, ரிவர்ஸ் சார்ஜ் சப்ளை ஆஃப் சர்வீசஸ். First of all, when the reverse charge comes into picture in the case of supply of services, we have notified services like advocate services or the what we can call renting of a cab by a supplier, or in the case of a security services. There are furthermore we have the Reserve Bank of India receive the services from overseeing committee. Thereafter, the securities lending and borrowing services. I will refer this all the point. GTA goods transport agent services. Thereafter, the government services, government provided services which is not taxable and which is not a forward charge will come under the reverse charge. Thereafter, we have a big list in fact in case of supply of services. Now, I am bringing to a notice here, my dear sir, if the recipient liable to pay tax under the supply of services, recipient liable to pay tax, recipient of liable to tax, the time of supply is equal to simple date of payment. எப்போ recipient payment பண்றாரோ யாருக்கு? சப்ளையருக்கு. If I use Tamil, ஓகேவா? Just if anybody say I am not I will use only, I will repeat in Tamil, that's all, but not the Tamil is the content, because of a requirement of writing in English in the examination, I will go only with a, sometimes நான் க்ளோஸாக ஃபீல் பண்ணும்போது என்ன ஆகிடும்னா டீப்பாக போகும்போது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக் வந்துடும் அது. ஸோ தட் இஸ் ஓகே, வெல் அக்செப்டட், நோ இஷ்யூ. மை டியர், when you refer supply of services reverse charge applies, recipient liable to pay tax when the recipient is making the payment, date of payment. Again, what is date of payment? Date of book entry of the recipient, date of bank entry given by the bank account, banker to the bank account of the recipient, debit made by the banker to the bank account of the recipient, whichever is earlier. Now, if I save that and leave it, what happened? Recipient going on receiving the services, single rupee not paid. 1 month over, 2 month over, 3 month, 4, 5, 6. அப்போ டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை வராமல் போயிடுமா? டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை இஸ் நாட் கோயிங் டு அலர்ஜ் அட் ஆல். It is not so. That's why the lawmaker said here, RCM, recipient liable to pay tax. Mr. Recipient, we are giving the 2 points to you. You select among to whichever is earlier is the time of supply. One is when you made the payment, take the date of payment, or the first day that occurs after expiry of 60 days, not 30 days. After expiry of 60 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. Now it is replacing them, my dear friend, supplier or recipient. if the supplier liable to issue the invoice, being a registered person, it is under RCM liable to pay GST under the RCM recipient. In that case, supplier should issue the invoice within 30 days from the date of the receipt of from the date of supply of services. In the case of banking company, 45 days. Is clear? Coming to here, if the recipient liable to issue the invoice when supplier is a unregistered person and it is a RCM, in that case, who liable to pay GST? Recipient. He should issue the invoice under RCM, section 31 F3. Time limit remains 30 days from the date of receipt of services. Even though that recipient is a banking company, 45 days time period not given. How much is given? 30 days time period only given. It is not noticed provision by department, means by the lawmaker. Yet to make amendment, you will come see. Banking company, insurance company for issue the invoices, time limit how much, Raja? If the supplier, as per section 31(2), 45 days. Other than the time limit to issue the invoice, 30 days from date of supply. Correct? If the recipient is a banking company, liable to pay GST and RCM, where supplier is a registered person, who should issue the invoice? Banking company. For them to issue the invoice under RCM, time limit remains 30 days, 45 days, critical, not given. If it have been, if it's supposed to give means there must be amendment. Maybe going to come down the line, I do not know. For the time being, section 31, subsection 2, supplier liable to issue the invoice in case of supply of services, issue the invoice within 30 days from the date of supply. In the case of bank company, within 45 days from date of completion of supply. Is clear? If the recipient liable to pay tax under the RCM, supplier is an unregistered person, in that case, recipient is under RCM going to pay tax, should issue the invoice. For issue the invoice, for a recipient may be a banking company other than banking company. Time limit to issue the invoice only 30 days from the date of receipt of service. Is clear, my dear friends? Now, to avoid the confusion in your side, you please go to the notebook. I said one notebook. Some important point, doubts comes into picture, I will give the clarification. Please go to your notebook, please. Notebook, where you have to mention in the notebook, in case of time of supply, who is required to issue tax invoice is our heading, bro. In case of time of supply, who is required to issue tax invoice? Under that, supplier is registered person. Supplier is a registered person. Supplier should issue invoice. Supply covered under FCM or RCM, as the case may be. Thereafter, supplier is unregistered person. Supplier is unregistered person na inga careful irukonu. Supplier is unregistered person. supply person, forward charge mechanism, reverse charge mechanism. Forward charge applicable, supply person. No GST, no time of supply. TOS na time of supply. TOS na enamma time of supply. Enamma screen தெரியுதா ராஜா எல்லாருக்கும்? Okay, very good. Online students, screen clear, visible?
Yes, sir.
RCM. RCM வரும்போதம்மா supply person RCM. That means RCM means recipient. Here also will give more clarity. Doubt வரக்கூடாது இது மேலே வந்தாலும் இது பாருங்க சார் இங்கே ஆல்ரெடி சொல்லுவேன் நான். I tell you this reference. RCM. Recipient. Registered person. Recipient is unregistered person. If the recipient unregistered person, supplier unregistered person, recipient to unregistered person, but nature of supply covering under RCM. Liable to pay GST? Yeah? No one liable to pay GST. Here, 1 minute. 1 minute, wait. 1 minute, wait. 1 minute, wait. No, this is not premature to refer this. In the given case, straight away mention, I am not going to be invite. One complicated situation is there. Section 24. Unmute please. All my dear online students, your mic should be unmute and listen. Parvati, unmute, Amma. All of you, please unmute. You do not know. Here, so much of noise will trigger, and that is going to recording also. And record the persons who purchase the classes will get affect. All of them should unmute. Very clear instruction from me. Whenever speak, unmute. Whenever you wanted to listen, mute. It should be all of you mute. First priority, mute. Speak with me by unmuting that moment. Then unmute. Thereby, the flow of communication will smoothly move, and you also listen carefully and clarity manner. We also listen your voice. Now, here I am jumping into overconfident manner. Should not be do so. Section 24, section 24 of the CGST talks about if the recipient liable to pay tax, few cases, hey recipient, you liable to pay tax, and RCA means you liable to pay tax. Sir, person, sir, go and get registered. Compulsory registration is given. Therefore, I am not going to go with that particular advanced concept at this moment. For the timing, relax. My point is, who should issue the invoice in case of time of supply? If supply is an initial person, where RCM apply cases, invoice should be issued by recipient. So, in that case, RCM, in the case that recipient is liable to issue invoice if recipient is registered person within less than or equal to within 30 days of within 30 days of receipt of goods or service or both. Is clear, Abra? This it. So this will crystal clear. Even Tamil ask a doubt. The doubt is crystal clear here. Yeah.
Sir,
ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணுமா? ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணியா ரஜினி? ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணீங்களா சார்? ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணிட்டு கேளுங்கம்மா. அதான் ஒரு ஃப்ளோ கிளியராக இருக்கும். எல்லாம் ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணீங்களா ராஜா? இப்போ கேளுங்க சார்.
supply is 100% and FCM, so no tax is applicable. So the thing is, you mentioned no GST, no POS.
Correct then. Correct then.
It's not applicable.
Yes, correct then. You want me to give the example? You want me to give example, sir, for this? You want example? I am a seller of the goods. What I am selling is cell phone covers. Cell phone covers. My turnover in the previous year 2 lakhs. Very amount for me, big amount. I am required to go for registration. Huh? Cell phone covers I am selling, sir. I am an initial person. For getting registration in Tamil Nadu, supplier of the goods, 40 lakhs turnover limit is there. Up to which not equal to go for registration. My turnover only 2 lakhs. Not equal to go registration. I am selling the cell phone covers. Sale of cell phone covers is a FCM or RCM? FCM. Doubtedly FCM. That case, they sold one cell phone cover to our Bharatwaj Institute. Bharatwaj Institute person made the payment. Is RCM? No. If and if liable to pay supplier. Supplier says, I will pay when I got registered. Therefore, till the time of up in the registration, I am not liable to pay GST. So, no GST, no time of supply. Coming to the other one, other side. For example, I am seller of, let's say, I am government. The Chennai, the Tamil Nadu Secretariat in Chennai, Tamil Nadu Secretariat. They have their old furniture. They want to sell it. Sarvana Stores, Rishabh person, made application, bid. He got selected. They sold the furniture, old furniture to Sarvana Stores for 2 crores. Who is the seller? Government. Who is the buyer? Sarvana Stores. Sarvana Stores, needless to say, they are the Rishabh persons, correct? Now, this is specifically mentioned under the list of RCM, GST applicable under the RCM basis. Is clear? Now, in the given case, government secretariat, Anisha person, secretariat not liable to pay GST. Tamil Nadu secretariat liable to pay GST, what? No. And even if the liable to pay, who liable to pay? Recipient liable to pay. Therefore, Anisha person. Recipient, Rishabh person. Who liable to pay GST? Savana Stores. In that case, particular invoice should be issued by Savana Stores within 30 days from the date of receipt of that goods. As simple as that. That's what I mentioned here. If the supplier is a registered person, if the or unregistered person, if it is under the RCM or FCM, supplier is a registered person, supplier will issue the invoice. In that case, FCM na supplier liable to pay tax. No sir, RCM na recipient liable to pay tax. For example, one more example I will tell you. I take into account of supply of goods itself. In the case of, let us say, the what we can call it, a case like this I mentioned. Raw cotton, supplier is a manufacturer, a registered person. Recipient is a registered person. Liable to pay GST, RCM. Supplier is a registered person? Yes. The supplier is a FCM, RCM, RCM. Who liable to pay GST? Recipient. In that case, who required to issue the invoice? Supplier. Because supplier is a registered person. Where it is said, refer section 31. Hey supplier, it is your responsibility to issue the invoice. All registered persons under GST should issue tax invoice. Time limit on or before dispatch of the goods. It's clear. But who will able to pay? Who's going to pay the GST? Raw cotton recipient. For recipient time limit, date of supply of goods means 3. Date of receipt of the goods, date of payment, the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from the date of issue of invoice by supplier. Among the three, whichever is earlier. That's what I presented here in a simplified manner. Now referring furthermore, supply of services are same apply. Then in that case, even furthermore this you want to simplify, I will tell you here. Furthermore summary is simple. Recipient of goods or services has to issue invoice as per section 31 subsection 3 clause F, read with rule 47 capital A of CGST rules. When means, look here, supplier is unregistered person. Point number 1. This is point number 1. For this, if you say yes, then I will mention recipient is registered person. Answer to this is a yes. Thereafter, supply covered under RCM. If this is the case, also yes. If the 3 conditions are satisfied, who liable to issue the invoice? Recipient. For him, time limit is available within 30 days from the date of receipt of the goods or services, or both. It is a summary, simple to say. If all the 3 are yes, recipient only should issue the invoice. Is the above provision, is a provision. Is the provision. Quickly complete, please. I refer only time to issue the invoice, time period to issue invoice. Now I am going to refer time of supply. Time of supply. For time of supply, invoice one of the relevant factor. All of you completed, brother. Simplified note I will give what is not there in the material, what I am going to give, which I am explaining orally, which is relevant, I will write on the screen. I will permit you to record. That is your notebook. Sir, I am telling you, sir, take it to granted. Your notebook, your handbook, workbook is 3 equal to your question paper 116 marks, 116 marks, not 100 marks. Choice is there no for you. Say this all right. That means there won't be any question which is going to come in the examination which is not covered in this particular 3 areas. It is up to you to score. What is the score of you decide now itself and look ahead for reading the subject. Last time when I took the class for the education program purpose for the institute CMA members, there are many students. One madam woke up, sir, if opportunity comes to join again CMA, and I will join for your classes, sir. She woke up and she said, I'm very happy to note. Once I complete the session, when get together, interaction giving and doubt clarification session. This is what what I can say, bicham. I treat like that manner, great, humble manner. By knowing this, now tell me, time of supply, supply of services, or same apply. One, date of payment. Compare with the first day that occurs after expiry of 60 days in case of services from the date of receipt of service, among whichever is earlier. Is clear? We'll have the problem on it. Now here comes into picture, if the, sir, what about payment made in advance? Take it. Meaning thereby, notification number 66/2017, which is not applicable in case of RCM applies. What RCM says, we will follow. Even supply of goods, supply of services. Even supply of goods, payment is made well in advance. Supply of goods, payment made well in advance. That is the time of supply. If RCM applies. In case of supply of goods. Even why to the extent notification number 66/2017 is not applicable even for specified actionable claims. I said na. In case of specified actionable claims, supply of goods, supply liability to GST, forward charge, 3 points, date of invoice, last date of invoice, or date of the date of payment, among whichever is earlier. As simple as that. Get my point, sir. So here is what, like this, there are so many provisions are there. How to recollect? Only by virtue of revision. Minimum 4 to 5 times you have to go for revision. Earlier I used to say 10 to 11, 12 times you have to go for revision, 11 to 12 times. Now nobody listening that. Therefore I myself reduced it. At least 4 to 5 times revision required. Otherwise difficult to answer. You know the provision, but it is not going to be strike out in the exam hall. What is the use? The 3 hours time period is there. In that you have to sharpen. Yes, it is a provision. It is a provision. Then you feel so comfortable as if it is a BCom examination for you. And you get the marks also glorious like a BCom marks. BCom people are getting 90, 80s, 90, 99%. Like that you get. It's a scoring paper. Indirect taxes scoring paper. So with this, problems I'm doing. Always I will stress on the problems, numerics. That only gives us to hold the subject in your hand, kaikuli. So with this, I am presenting furthermore problem. Yes. வரும்மா வரும். நான் ஷிஃப்ட் பண்ணும்போது கொஞ்சம் பில்லர் ஆகிடும். இப்போ கரெக்டாக வந்துச்சா? We will take this section. This question is very beautiful question it is. question number, one of the questions, question number 16. Now can proceed now, my dear sir? Yes, otherwise I will make it in a blow up manner. I will expand it. Furthermore, the expansion will come into picture. Blur again, don't worry at all. Yes. I think now visible clearly. Yes. Clearly visible to all of you now? Much better than the earlier. Yes. Yeah. Reading question as follows. This is and all your workbook. CMA Institute website இருக்க புக் தான் நான் பார்க்குறேன். அந்த புக் தான் நான் கொடுக்க போகிறேன். CMA Institute website புக் இருக்கு. Paper number 19 workbook along the other workbooks. And I asked the Director of Studies, Avijit Mandal sir, these books are available for buying, sir, hard copies, because I thought that book I will give to students. They said, no, sir, we are not going to sell through counter. It's absolutely free of cost to our students. It's a soft copy only we are providing. Soft copy, okay, sometimes I refer panna matom. So I decided to give the book to you, hard copy. No separate charges, nothing is there. I think so. There won't be. Book includes no fees. Yes or no? Yes or no? Ah, yes. You will make available always. Book is not going to be cost at all to you. So the book will be hand over to you, the same workbook of the institute. From there only I brought this problem. Sharma Metal Traders Supplier is an unregistered dealer of metal scrap located in Maharashtra. XYZ Limited recipient is a registered manufacturing company also located in Maharashtra, engaged in automobile manufacturing which requires metal scrap for production. As per section 9(3) of the CGST Act, metal scrap is notified by the government upon recommendation of GST Council as the goods covered under the RCM. Find the time of supply and GST liability from the following for XYZ Limited recipient. Supplier issue the invoice. Not mandatory as per supplier is Anisha person. But he given in some 20 paper reference should be given. He cannot issue dash invoice. Tax invoice. We want tax invoice. Get my point, sir. On 1st of March 2025, value 2,50,000. Goods received by XYZ Limited 5th of March 2025. Recipient issues self-invoice as per section 31(3)(f) with respect to rule number 47A. Within 30 days, latest by 4th April. When the goods received, Raja? 5th March. Latest by received when? 4th April. When 30 days ends now, March 6th onwards count start. 31 days in the month of March minus 5 days. Balance how many? 26 days. 26 days in the month of March. 4 days in the month of April. 4th April he issued it. Exact and 30th. So this invoice is issued well in the time limit. Payment made by XYZ Limited 10th March 2025. Namely 2,50,000. Applicable to GST, CGST 9% each, IGST 18%. That's all. Now in the given case, you have to answer to me. Now, point number 1 is what? Three points are required, no, Baba. For time of supply, reverse charge apply, date of receipt of the goods, date of payment, the first day that occurs after expiry of 30 days from the date of the receipt of invoice. Is clear? 30 days only here. Goods it is. You tell me date of receipt of goods is equal to எப்போமா first 5th March 2025 is one data. We'll make it this is the color. Then second point we want date of payment. Yes, date of payment. இதெல்லாம் நீங்கள் வந்து நோட் பண்ண வேணாம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லிசன், கான்சன்ட்ரேட், ரியாக்ட், ஆக்ட். வானுவன் தப்பு நான் போடுவேன், வானுமே தப்பு போடுவேன். வெதர் மை ஸ்டூடெண்ட் வில் கேட்ச் ஹோல்ட் ஆர் நாட்னு டெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு நீங்கள் என்ன பண்ணணும் சார், இது கடைசா யூ ஹவ் டு ரிப்ளை டு மீ. தென் will I come to know you are interacting with me. நான் வானுமே தப்பு போடுவேன், நான் இப்போ சொல்கிறேன். ஆனால் உங்களுக்கு ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் ஆன்சர்ஸ் பக்க ஆன்சர்ஸ் ஆர் தேர் இன் த புக். த verb containing questions followed by answers with all amendments. Date of payment எப்போ? First 10th March 2025. So this I will make it here this color. அப்போ point number 3, first day after expiry of 30 days from the date of issue of invoice by whom? By recipient. correct na? Recipient. by the recipient ani varumbodhu you tell me which date you talk about here. Tell me now when the invoice issue day 4th April. Appo count start from the next day 5th April. So in the month of April 25 days, 30 minus 4 26 and 4 days May 4th. So May 4th முடிஞ்சிருச்சா 30 days. அப்போ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் வரும்போது 5th May. So 5th May 2025 அதை நம்ம எடுக்க வேண்டும். அதை எடுக்கும்போது அம்மா இங்கே இப்போ நீங்கள் சொல்ல வேண்டும் among the three, yes, this date or this date or this date, whichever is, which is earlier 5th March is nothing but what? Date of டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை சொல்லணும்ப்பா. டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளைப்பா அது நம்ம பார்க்குறது டிஓஎஸ் என்ன? டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை. அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட்? காம்ப்ரிஹென்சிவ் ப்ராப்ளம் வித் த லேட்டஸ்ட் அமெண்ட்மெண்ட். ஸோ டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை here you see here 5th March 10th March then 4th April. So time immediately 5th May. So 5th May or 5th March 10th March, which is earlier? 5th March time of supply. If so, answer here is 5th March. Correct ma? Time of supply calculation here here 5th March under us. Is clear bro? 3 dates are there which is earlier. நம்மளோட ஆன்சர் எப்படி இருக்கணுமா, ருப்பி மேட்ச் ஆகணும் இன்ஸ்டியூட் ஆன்சரோட. கண்ணு மூடி எக்ஸாமினர் டிக் த டிக் ஆன்சர் கரெக்டாக நீ கொண்டு வந்து காட்டுன்னு வச்சுங்களேன். தென் ஹி ரிலே ஆன் யுவர் ஒர்க்கிங்ஸ். அந்த ஒர்க்கிங் கரெக்டாக இருந்து தான் ஆன்சர் கரெக்டாக வரும், ஒரு இம்ப்ரெஷன். தென் யுவர் ஸ்கோரிங் வில் பி ஹையஸ்ட் மார்க்ஸ். ஈவன் தியரி ஆல்சோ ரைட் வில் ஓகே கரெக்டாக பண்ணிப்பார் இவரே மேலோட்டமாக ஜஸ்ட் அந்த ஜஸ்ட் லைக் தட் flu manner 3 or 4 points will read content theory practical theory answering, just looking and putting the full marks. But what is required here is your handwriting should be good. If you have good handwriting, you got good marks. Is clear brother? So with this what we covered? Time of supply of services, reverse charge. Already we covered time of supply of goods, reverse charge. In that application we made supply of goods, RCM apply. Now I am going to take up supply of services, RCM apply problem, furthermore problem. Now in the given case, what is the time of supply in case of supply of such reverse charge supply? 1. Date of payment. 2. The first day that occurs after expiry of 60 days. Excellent. From the date of invoice that may be issued by supplier if supplier is a person. If not a recipient, if the supplier is an issue person. Is clear, sir? Amount to whichever is earlier. Date of first day after expiry of 60 days from date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Here the date of payment is aware of the date of book entry, back entry of the recipient, which is earlier. Now, in this regard, that's how many advanced problems are there. Practical way of problems also we have. Time of supply for the reverse charge is considered. One problem. After that, we'll give the break of just 10 minutes for relaxation. One problem bringing here. This problematic. Now I'm referring this. It's a comprehensive problem. Simplified problem I'm not going to refer at all. Should we have some guts in that to have some more provisions, combination of provisions? No problem. Royal Sweets and Company, Delhi, a registered supplier, has furnished the details of the following few transactions which took place in the month of November. Assume the rate of tax is applicable as so. Date of payment 11th November. Particulars: payment made to an advocate in Delhi. Date of invoice 7th July. Amount 1925. Thereafter, date of payment 20th November. Paid sitting fees to director from Haryana for meeting held in Delhi on 15th October. Interstate supply date of invoice 15th October, and the amount is 75,000 rupees. You are required to compute the CGST, SGST, IGST as the case may be, along with the time of supplies of the aforementioned activities. GST paid to the government department on 20th December for both 1 and 2 above, previous turnover 600 crores. Why the previous year turnover 600 crores is given at the end of the last point by the examiner means this fellow is a monthly paying the tax, monthly final return. You should not assume QRMP tax. QRMP ke limit is the turnover should not exceed 5 crores. So he is not a QRMP. He is not a composition scheme also. For a composition scheme, limit is there. Supplier of the goods means 1.5 crores. Yeah, how much crores? So he is a regular taxpayer monthly basis. Point number 1. Then the person who our client Royal Sweet Company Delhi is a corporate company where is a business entity. And one more point is there. Advocate or form of advocate or senior advocate, if they provide these services to a business entity, if the turnover of the business entity being a recipient in the previous year exceeded threshold limit for registration, threshold limit for registration is maximum 40 lakhs. For service 20 lakhs. If you are MMNT, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, only 10 lakhs. Turnover how much for him? 600 crore. So, business entity. Perfect fit for RCM. Supplier, advocate. Recipient, business entity. Whose turnover in the previous exceeded threshold limit for registration. In that case, advocate supply to business entity liable to pay GST under the RCM. Is clear? So, first point is what? RCM. First point, RCM. Payment made to advocate in Delhi. They also Delhi. Then it is called what? Intra. Liable to pay CGST, GST. Next point. Point number 2, my dear. In case of point number 2, sitting fees is also under RCM. A corporate company, a private limited or a body corporate, if they pay the sitting fees to their own directors, sitting fees not the form part of your employment contract. Employment lo varade. Yena? Which TDS provision of the income tax will apply? Section 192, salary TDS, section 194, J, professional. For TDS amount, sorry, for the sitting fee. 194J, excellent. See, I am directly knocking the doors. I am not referring a fundamentals. Please try to understand, my dear friends. I invited the GST under GST income tax. 192 TDS for salary. You are aware of that? Rightly you said to me. 194J TDS will apply for the sitting fees, sir. Very good. Appo that sitting fees not in the course of contractual employment. It is not the employee provide the service to employer in the course of employment. It is not under the exclusion list. Schedule 3 is there. Schedule 3, supply excludes. Employee provide this service to employer in the course of employment means if it is subject to section 192 of the income tax act, TDS is a salary which is absolutely outside the scope of the GST law. But the sitting fees, not so. Sitting fees is a supply of service, taxable of service. Who supplied it? Director. To whom supplied it? Corporate company. Who is recipient? Corporate company. Absolutely a clear-cut entry into RCM. In that case, the problem also said RCM. This supplies, find the RCM time of supplies. And also asking us to find out tax amount to pay. Now, in the given case, how to identify this also be under RCM. As you are aware of that, supply of services, RCM applies, time of supply is equal to date of payment, or the first day that occur after expiry of 60 days from the date of invoice. Is clear, sir? Invoice did we know? 7th July. Payment did we know? First 11th November. Invoice is 7th July na, count from next day onwards, Baba. Means 8th of July. From 8th July, 60 days ends when? Means you have to have calculator. You must see. Computer மாதிரி எடுத்து வந்த calculator. இது பாரு. ஏன்னா எனக்கு கண்ணு தெரியாது. கண்ணு நல்லா தெரியுங்க பார்வையாக எடுத்துட்டேன் நான். You refer here, my dear. July how many days? 31 days. Minus 7. So July how many days left over? 24 days. Count reckon from 8th July to 31st July, 24 days. Plus August 31. 55 days. Then 5 days add from September. By 5th of September, 60 days. So 6th of September, first day. So 6th of September, that is one date. Or date of payment, 11th November. Which is earlier? 6th September is earlier. That is what the time of supply for the first case. For the first case, my dear, TYS equal to 6th September. அப்போ 6th September எப்போ கட்டணும் GST? By 28th October is the due date. Correct, Baba? All of you. அது முடிஞ்சிச்சா? Time of supply கண்டுபிடிச்சோம். Due date also கண்டுபிடிச்சோம். Then come back. Date of payment வரும்போது இது second case. Sitting fees. Invoice எப்போ? 15th October. Payment made when? Within 60 days only. Then first day that occurs after expiry of 60 days from date of invoice, compute பண்ணி time waste பண்ண வேணாம். பார்க்கும்போது தெரியுது இல்லையா ராஜா? ஸோ அப்போ என்ன பண்ணணுமா? இது டைம் ஆஃப் சப்ளை 15th of October இன்வாய்ஸ் டேட்டு 20th November. வித்தின் 1 month குள்ளே இது இருக்கு. ஹார்ட்லி within 1 month 5 days குள்ள வந்திருக்கு. So that declared as a time of supply. Very good. அப்போ due date is 20th December. Excellent. By filing GST 3B. இப்போ அவன் என்ன கேட்குறான் நமக்கு? When they paid? 20th December they paid. So they paid, this one is paid in time. For this is a intrastate or interstate? From where he is? He is from, they said interstate. Therefore, IGST 18% on rupees 75 is equal to how much comes Raja? 13,500. One answer over. No delay also. But first case advocate payment பண்ணும்போது how much they paid? 1 lakh 1,25,000 வரும்போது $1,25,000 into CGST. Am I right? Because they are in Delhi. Supplier also Delhi. Recipient also in Delhi. Supplier advocate Delhi. Recipient company also Delhi. International supply. Liable to pay CGST. How much percent is there? 9% each. So CGST is equal to how much? 1,25,000 into 9% is equal to 11,250 and SGST 11,000 total 22,500. Is clear? Due date epo due date 20th October. But they paid when? 20th December. Delay happened, no? Poor fellow, that fellow not asked us to compute the interest for delay payment. The examiner who prepared this, if I am the person, means I will prepare by adding compute the interest for delay payment, if any. டிலே ஆயிடுச்சு இல்லைப்பா. 20th October நீ கட்ட வேண்டியது எப்போ கட்டுறீங்க இந்த அமௌண்ட் ஜிஎஸ்டி? 20 December. Each day of delay you are liable to pay interest under section 50 subsection 1 at the rate of 18% per annum and is mandatory as per section 75 subsection 9 of the CGST. Now we will come to the interest. What rate of interest I said? 18% per annum. Which section I referred? Section 50 subsection 1. Is clear? Number of days delay count எப்படின்னா due date எப்போ 20th October. Count start from the first day of the expiry of the due date. Means 21st October. So in the month of October 31 days minus 20 balance 11 days. October 11 days. Take the calculator. October 11 days. November 30 days. December payment பண்ணிட்டாரு எப்போ 20th. Last date of payment also inclusive. How many days? 20 days. In the month of December. Total number of days how many? 61 days. That means this fellow liable to pay interest on rupees. Interest equal to 22,500 into 18% interest per annum into 61 divided by 365. Excellent, Raja. Tell me, Baba, how much? 677. Interest split into two parts. One is CGST but divided by 2. Simple. 677 divided by 2, Raja. 338. 338 வருமா 37 வருமா? 8 வருமா? ஓகே, அப்போ பண்ணிக்கலாம். சரி, 6 வருது, but you have to make 9 somewhere. This is okay. Rounding figure. Rounding figure we have under section 171. Section 171 rounding figure is there. Section 171, 171, 50 paise above, counted in 1 rupee. Below 50 paise, ignore it. That provision required to be referred in your side. That provision required to refer. This is clear or no? So is the way in which expectation of the issue. அந்த மாதிரி நீங்கள் படிச்சுப்போங்க above the level of the expectation of the institute. அப்போ ஈஸி டு ஆன்சர். எப்படி கேட்பாங்களோ, ஐயோ இப்போனா கதை முடிஞ்சிச்சு. எக்ஸாம் எடுக்கிறோம்னா பாஸ் பண்ணி வெளியே வரணும், அவ்வளோதான். ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி லாஸ் மை டியர். ஒரு அட்டெம்ப்ட் பாஸ் பண்ணாமல் போனால் 6 months we have to wait. Plus result 2 months, almost 8-9 months time. As a qualified, your earnings you check. As a cost accountant, your earnings you check. 9 months loss of pay for you. We are not deserved for that. We should catch that particular opportunity to qualify as early as possible. Possible. Only thing is determination, continuation towards our achievement. Even employment goals, I'm telling you, continuous study. We want employment. We cannot leave the employment study because for us employment is also important. But what is relevant here is early morning or evenings, 1 hour at least self-study. That's what I used to say my son and daughter. You study. Whatever faculty says is only a helping tool. Taking that into account, you have to study. You have to understand the subject. Take 10 minutes break, relax and come back. We'll continue further. Time of supply furthermore is there. Is clear, sir? Just 10 minutes relaxation.
Hello.
Where is my class, sir? Now referring to you further, time of supply, in which supply of goods, where we have continuous supply of goods. If the goods supplied continuously through pipeline, there must be a cut-off date to generate the revenue by department in terms of GST. Therefore, the GST Council said, you please prepare a particular provision for which separately what is the time of supply for continuous supply of goods is considered, where they said provision first. Here, Mr. Supplier, are you supplying goods continuously? What type of goods? Sir, I am supplying the gas, sir, to pipeline, sir. Continuously, sir. 365 days, 24 into 7, sir. In that case, as per section 31, subsection 4, invoice shall be issued before or at the time of such statement is issued, or as the case may be, each such payment is received, meaning thereby part payment received, part invoices for that you issued. Invoice should be issued on or before payment received. If not, on or before statement submitted. You providing services, part completed, statement submit, approved, invoice issued. So, date of statement or date of payment, among the two, whichever is earlier, within which you have to issue the invoice. If you issue the invoice, that is the invoice time of supply. If not, last day to issue invoice is whichever is earlier, date of statement or date of payment, whichever is earlier. So, date of invoice or last day to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. So, here, if payment received in advance, for that you have to issue the invoice. Or last day to issue invoice in date of advance. Get my point, sir? Which I am presenting here, simplified manner as follows. Time of supply in case of continuous supply of goods. Is as follows, my dear friends. Time when each statement is issued, or when the time when payment received, whichever is earlier. So that is a date called as last date to issue invoice or date of invoice. Date of invoice or last date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. Which I present in simple manner directly. Among these two, whichever is earlier is the time of supply. Where 31, rule section 31, section 4 says that you must issue the invoice point number 1 or point number 2, whichever is earlier. If not issued, last date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. What are the things? One, date of submission of statement, date of payment. Whichever is earlier is the last date to issue invoice. If you issue invoice well before the date, very good. Date of invoice is the time of supply. If not issued, at least last date to issue invoice is the time of supply. How to understand, sir? Problem. A practical problem here. As follows. In the material itself. Example. Now referring the example to you as follows. X Limited, supplier of gas through pipeline continuously to customers. Monthly payment are made by the recipient as per the contract. Every quarter, a statement of the goods dispatch and payment made is issued, and the recipient has to pay the differential amount if any. Here point number 1. 5th August, 5th September, 6th October. Payment is 2 lakhs in each month for the quarter, July to September. Payment is August, September, October, each 2 lakhs. Point number 2. October 3rd, statement of account for the quarter July to September is issued by the supplier showing the amount of 2 lakh 50 as an unpaid. Determine the time of supply for the purpose of the payment of such payment of tax. Continuous supply of goods. As we understood, section 2 subsection 32 of the CGST defines continuous supply of service means the goods supplied continuously. If so, in that case, here you should have to have like this. First, point number 1, date of statement. Is clear, Baba? What date? 3rd October, no? They said 3rd October statement date, correct? So 3rd October. Very good. Second point, date of payment. Date of payment when it comes in the picture, different dates. First case, when the payment is for 2 lakhs, 5th August. Among that, whichever is earlier. Which is earlier, Baba? 5th August. So, time of supply, first case. Time of supply, first case. 5th August. One time of supply is over. Time of supply, why it is coming here means I will tell you. I should cursor I have to change. Okay. Time of supply. First case for rupees 2 lakhs is 5th August. One clearer? Point number 2. Again, September month received advance payment 2 lakhs. How much? 2 lakhs. When? 5th September. So here I have to say that here 5th September. 5th September or 3rd October, which is earlier? 5th September. Therefore, time of supply 5th September for 2 lakhs. Then third case if you refer, my dear, here you tell me when the payment is issued, 6th October. So 6th October, 3rd October, which is earlier? 3rd October. When the payment is issued, 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs. They said, no? So time of supply, how much in the case? 2 lakhs. So time of supply for 2 lakhs is 3rd October. Plus, they said here, after payment of 2 lakhs, adjustment made. 3rd October statement submitted. How much due is it? 2 lakh 56. Out of 2 lakh 56 due amount of 3rd October, payment is 6th October. How much? 2 lakhs. The balance still not received. How much? 56,000. For that also time of supply is there. This time of supply mentioned for 2 lakhs only, Baba. Furthermore, point, time of supply for the balance amount of 0.56 lakhs, namely 56,000. For which also? 3rd October. You get my point, sir? As simple as that. Continuous supply of goods is the way in which to answer the answer. We refer what? Continuous supply of goods. Time of supply, date of submission, date of payment, whichever is earlier. Why? Invoice should be issued as per section 31.4, which says that, hey, Mr. Supplier, are you supplying the goods continuously? Yes, sir. Then issue the invoice. When you submit the statement or payment issued, amount whichever is happened to happen earlier, within which you have to issue invoice. So last day to issue invoice for you as per section 31 subsection 4 is equal to date of statement or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Is clear? Now, same manner, supply of services, continuous supply of services. We have section 2, subsection 33. Continuous supply of services definition. Section 2, subsection 33. I will refer that point. Which service called continuous supply of service means if the service taken the time to complete for a period more than 3 months is called what? A continuous supply of service. Speak out. The supply taken continuously to supply and complete for a period more than 3 months is as follows. Continuous supply of services. Section 2, subsection 33 says definition of terminology continuous supply of service. Here, a invoice when should be issued in case of continuous supply of service? First of all, can you tell me examples for the continuous supply of services? Plenty of example. My dear sir, internal audit. Internal audit for 12 months. How much? 12 months. More than 3 months to complete. So, like that, construction services, works contract services, where the time taken to complete for more than 3 months. Best example, AMC, annual maintenance contract services. AMC, Raja. AMC for 12 months. Name itself AMC, annual 12 months, more than 3 months. The best examples for the continuous supply of services. In that case, for a supplier, when should issue the invoice? Important. As per section 31, subsection 5. Hey, Mr. Supplier of Service, issue the invoice. When, sir? Where the due date of payment is ascertainable from the contract? Yes, sir. Every month by 5th, my recipient should make the payment to me, sir. For over the 12 months. Every month. That means January month by 5th of February. 5th month, February month, 5th of March, like that. December month by 5th of January. So is the terminology contract. First I will provide the service, payment will make. In that case, 30 days time period to issue the invoice not applicable for you. Section 31, subsection 2 not applicable. What is the time period to issue invoice? Refer tax invoice chapter. Section 31, subsection 5 says that where there is a due date of payment periodically is ascertainable from your contract? Yes, sir. If it is yes, then issue the invoice on or before the due date. Last date to issue invoice, date of due date to pay. Is clear? Sir, I issue the invoice, sir. Before the due date, sir. Very good. Kannu mutti solla the date of invoice, time of supply. Sir, that issued later, sir. Invoice issued after due date, sir. Abdiya. Appo, whichever is earlier concept applicable unda illaya? Applicable unde. Which is the time of supply? Due date. Is clear, Baba? That I have mentioned here, my dear. Look here. Date of invoice. If the invoice issued on or before the due date of payment or date of payment received, whichever is earlier. Sir, I supply the services, not the issued invoice, payment also not received, sir. Oh, last date to issue invoice when? The due date of payment is what? Time of supply. You get my point, sir? Second point, sir, where the due date of payment is not ascertainable from the contract, sir. Chumma appudu podam, sir. Edo friendly nature, I made an agreement to provide AMC, but eppo payment pannuno not mentioned, sir. When to pay not mentioned in the contract, sir. Whenever the recipient has the money, he will pay. Whenever I ask, he will pay. Oh, AMC, continuous supply of services. payment due date not ascertainable from the contract. No, sir, not ascertainable from the contract. In that case, no problem. Time of supply is equal to invoice should be issued as per section 31, section 5. Date of invoice. Invoice issued on or before payment. Invoice issue பண்ண on or before payment. Payment day வரல. Time of supply இல்லை போ. Payment came. That on or before the date of payment, you have to issue the invoice. The payment came today. Invoice issue tomorrow. Time of supply today. If today is 31st of July. Today is 31st of July. Tomorrow 1st of August. Payment எப்போ வந்துச்சு 31st of August. Invoice when issued 1st of September. For example, 31st of July. 31st of July, I received the payment. But I issue the invoice on 1st of August. Which is earlier. Due date to pay GST 20th of August. Get my point, sir? There it makes sense. So, if the due date to pay not ascertainable from the contract, section 31 subsection 5 says that issue the invoice on or before the payment. Payment வரல சார், அப்போ invoice issue பண்ணல சார். Okay, invoice also not issued, payment also be not issued. அப்போ என்னத்தையும் நீ பண்ண, சும்மா தண்ணுக்கு பண்ணுறியா, சும்மா வெட்டிக்கு பண்ணுறியா சர்வீசஸ்? ஆமாம் சார், ஃப்ரீ சார். ஆர் யூ ஷூர்? ஃப்ரீ. ஆமாம் சார், என்ன ஃப்ரெண்டு சார், அவன் என்ன கிளாஸ்மேட் சார், என்ன பெஞ்ச்மேட் சார், என்ன ரூம்மேட் சார், என்ன பெட்மேட் சார், என்ன மீல்மேட் சார், ரெண்டு பேரும் ஒரே கஞ்சி சாப்பிடுவோம் சார். ஓ, சச் எ திக் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ், பட் நாட் ரிலேட் பார்ட்டி சார், வி ஆர் நாட் ரிலேட் பார்ட்டி சார். ஃப்ரீ சார் ஃபார் ஹிம். தேர் இஸ் a concept in GST. If the supply is absolutely freely supplied, supply of goods, supply of services. If there is no consideration, no GST. Provided the supply between should not be related persons, should not be distinct persons. Friend sir, friend neither distinct person nor related party. He is not my family sir, but my very good friend sir, friend indeed sir. We require friends, require, yes, helping with each other for the good things. To whom I provide free sir, absolutely free sir, no GST po. If no GST, no time of supply. So, if there is a continuous supply of services, contract not contain the due date to pay, then the date of payment on or before the date of payment, issue the invoice. If issue the invoice, the date of invoice, time of supply. If later issue the invoice, the last day to issue invoice, time of supply. So I mentioned here the date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier. Is clear? Is the second category. First category we understand if the due date of payment is clearly mentioned in the contract. The third category, in case of continuous supply of services. Third category, where the due date of payment is linked to the completion of supply. Part completed, 20% completed, bill raised. 30% completed, bill raised. 40%, contract accounts, not construction accounts, contract accounts. Contractee and contractor. Contractor supplier, contractee recipient. Part completion, part certificate, part payment release. So in that case, due date of the payment linked with the date of completion or part of completion. In that case, time of supply, when issued invoice as per section 31 subsection 5, date of issue of invoice is invoice should be issued if invoice issued on or before the date of completion of that event is the time of supply. If not, payment received for the part payment is the time of supply. Otherwise, simple to say date of invoice or payment received, date of completion, the date of completion or date of payment received, whichever is earlier. Section 31 subsection 5 says issue the invoice on or before the part completion. date of invoice, or date of payment, whichever is earlier. If I issue the invoice at a later date after the due date of completion of a part payment, part completion, after the issue the invoice, the last date to issue the invoice is date of part completion compared with the date of payment, whichever is earlier. So last date to issue invoice always should keep the provision. Here is there. Invoice should be issued on or before the date of completion of that event. If you issue, very good. If it belatedly issued, no problem. Last date to issue invoice, date of completion of that event. Compare the date of payment, whichever is earlier. If I bring that part, see, whatever referred here, my dear, here, whatever referred, the upper layer, this is with respect to section 31 subsection 5 here, 31.5, issue of invoice. That invoice compared with the date of payment. See, in all the cases, date of payment, date of payment, date of payment, common. Date of invoice compared with, that means simple, furthermore simply, date of invoice, last date to issue invoice, or date of payment, among whichever is earlier. Repeat, date of invoice or date of receipt of payment or due date, last date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. It's exhausted. I can mention here also. You also make a note. TOS. TOS na? Yes. In case of continuous supply of services is equal to what? Means simple. Date of invoice or last date of issue of invoice or date of payment. Whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier. That's all. Continuous supply of services. Continuous supply of services. If the payment is linked, the that completion, payment linked with that completion, part completion, part time of supply, invoice issued, part on or before completion of the part, invoice issued. If not, date of receipt, whichever is earlier is the time of supply. In case of due date of payment clearly ascertainable in the contract, the due date on or before that issue the invoice, that you compare the date of payment, whichever is earlier. If not issued on or before the due date, then last date to issue invoice, compare with the date of payment, whichever is earlier. So in the simplified manner, I said 3 events: date of invoice, last date to issue invoice, or date of payment, whichever is earlier. In case of continuous supply of service. Can we proceed with the problem in this regard? A numeric problem I am going to bring down for consideration. Exam problem, my dear. This is examination problem. Now reading as follows. Mr. Lakhan provides continuous supply of services to TNB Limited. He furnished the following information. Date of commencement of providing CSS, continuous supply of services, 1st October 2023. Date of completion of providing CSS, 31st Jan 2024. Date of receipt of payment by Mr. Lakhan, 30th March 2024. Determine the time of supply, that determine the time of issue of invoice. They are asking what? Determine the time of issue of invoice as per the provision. Which provision here? Section 31 subsection 5 of the CC Act. in the following circumstances. If no due date of payment is agreed upon by both the parties under the continuous supply of services. 2. If the payment linked to the completion of supply of service. 3. If TNB Limited has to make the payment on 25th March as per the contract between them. First case, you tell me in the first case, what is my time of issue of invoice? Not here, not asking the time of supply, asking due date to issue the invoice. See what is the great it is. Part of the time of supply they are asking. So first case in the given case, first point na, they said what is the due date to issue invoice? Due date to issue invoice. Tell me, bro, in the given case.
31/1/2024.
One answer, 31/1/2024. Is it correct or not? You have to analyze and tell me. Sir, due date not ascertained from the contract. Invoice will be issued on or before the payment. Correct? Payment when received? 30th March. Then how 31st January is the right answer?
No due date for payment is agreed upon by
Refer. No due date for payment is agreed upon. Means what is the provision? Refer the provision. Here. Which one you have to refer, Baba? First or second or third? Second one. Second one, read, my dear friends. Date of invoice. If invoice issued on or before the receipt of payment, they said. Not on or before the completion, they said. That invoice compared date of payment, whichever is earlier. So here, time of supply purpose. For issue of invoice, issue the invoice on or before date of receipt of payment. Correct? Now, here, time of supply, when you come here, time of supply is the problem here is here. Due date of issue of invoice is what? On or before? You have to say on or before? Before 30th March. That is the right answer now, sir. 30th March. Date of completion நாங்க சொல்லமா provision என்ன அது எப்போ தெரியுமா நீ பார்க்கணும் வரும் நான் சொல்றேன் அது எப்போ பார்க்கணும் சொல்றேனே இப்போ no due date for payment is ascertainable, then date of payment on or before the date of payment issue the invoice. We refer this is clear. Then coming to point number 2, your point, when the date of completion will come, I will tell you. Point number 2, Amma. When you go for point number 2, Raja, here what is coming here? If payment is linked to the completion of service, part completed, part payment. From this, date of completion of province is epo 31st January. Correct? Should be the invoice when? On or before 31st January. Which provision says it is 1, 2, 3? Which one? Third one. Third one says what? Invoice should be issued. Invoice date of invoice. If invoice issued on or before date of completion of that event. So as per section 31, subsection 5, invoice should be issued on or before completion. Is clear? So taking that spirit into account, I am presenting here in the given case due date to issue invoice on or before. Tell me. இப்போ உங்க பாயிண்ட் வரும் 31st January date of completion. Is clear, my dear friends? Then last point, if the payment is made 25th March as per contract, means payment is ascertainable from the contract. In that case, in the given case 1, 2, 3, which one is the point? First one. What is invoice data? Invoice issued. If the invoice issued on or before due date of payment. So due date of payment consider பண்ணும் இல்லையா? Due date of payment. Due date of payment எப்போ? Due date to pay 25th March. Therefore, point number 3 I will present here. In that case, point number 3 is due date to issue invoice on or before 25th March. This is the answer. Is clear as the same case. 30th March, 31st January, thereafter 25th March. Get the clarity? Is exam problem. One can expect in the examination. Is clear as well. So with this, what we understand, my dear friends, supply of goods, continuous supply of goods, time of supply. Where section 31, section 4 says that date of submission of statement, date of whichever is earlier, you have to issue the invoice. Where is the time of supply? Continuous supply of services, 31(5) of the CGC says, issue the invoice in the following manner. If there is due date ascertained from the contract and for due date, that compares the date of payment, whichever is earlier. Second case, due date not ascertainable from the contract, date of payment and for payment issue the invoice is the time of supply. By comparing with the date of payment, which was earlier time of supply. Third category, if the due date of payment is linked with the completion of supply, issue the invoice on or before the completion. That invoice compared with date of payment, whichever is earlier time of supply. Got the clarity? But in the given case, the problem on the screen is due date of issue of invoice only they are asking in case of continuous supply of services, not the time of supply. Furthermore, my points, we have the points. Supply of goods. In case of supply of goods, goods taken on sale or approval basis. Goods taken on sale or approval basis means what? Goods supplied on sale or return basis. Now you tell me, when I supply the goods on sale or return basis, can I issue the invoice? My books of accounts, accounts. You are accountant, no? You are the accountant. You are the accountant. You should speak correctly. For example, you are the finance manager. You are a cost accountant, finance manager in a HP, Hewlett Packard Solutions. Now, Bharatwaj Institute placed the order. Bharatwaj Institute placed the order. Sir, we want a so and so model features of laptops. You said, sir, much more than the features are available, sir, with us. First, we'll send to you. You test it. If you accept, then we'll raise the invoice. HP said, Bharat is very happy. Okay, sir, please send to us 10 laptops. First, we see that. If good enough, we select. We may set all 10, or we may set any one or two, or we may not like also. Then you supply the goods when 1st January 2025. You tell me, brah, in the given case, 1st January 2025, when supply the goods like that, are you going to make a sale entry in the books? No. No invoice also. You should be sent only with the delivery challan, as if goods has been sent. It is your stock only remains. So, Bharatwaj Institute, after receiving that, selected 2 out of 10. When by 1st of February. The balance 8 honestly returned back to you. Then for your sales for 2 units, sir, 8 units, sir, 10 units, sir, 2 units only. For that only you raise the invoice. The same spirit of accounts also be well endorsed under GST. They said, for us also under GST law, time of supply not going to arise. Taxable event doesn't arise when the goods sent for sale or approval basis. When will arise means only when the buyer accepts to purchase to that quantity, invoice will be raised. That is the time of supply. Suppose you send to Bharatwaj 10 laptops on 1st January 2025. Bharatwaj Institute using that for their faculty's presentation and all in the institute. 1 month over, 2 months over, 3 months over. Bharatwaj is not replied. You are calling over phone, sir. I'm a finance manager from HP, sir. Sometimes before 2 or 3 months before we send the laptops, have you purchased? Or if not, return back to us, sir. Bharatwaj said, wait, we are testing. Okay, sir, please, because you have respect on the Bharatwaj. But we were going on testing. 1 month, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months are over. 6 months over. You call over phone, sir. Wait. 6 மாசம் மேலே போச்சு சார். இட் இஸ் நாட் a நியூ ப்ராடக்ட், இட் இஸ் பிகம் an old product. இதை வாங்கணும்னா வாங்கிக்கோங்க சார், ஏன்னா ரிட்டர்ன் பண்ணுங்க சார். அப்படியா, எடுத்துக்கோ, எனக்கு வேணாம். Bharatwaj is given all the 10 laptops after expiry of 6 months to you. Now, for you time of supply arises or not, the law here said, we accept to some extent because it's goods sent on sale purpose, we know that. But here, Mr. Supplier, if you not get back your goods within 6 months from the date of dispatch, as per section 31, subsection 7, you should raise the invoice. When should I raise the invoice, sir? The first day that occurs after expiry of 6 months from a dispatch. Sir, my buyer accepted to purchase out of 10 laptops, 2 laptops within 6 months, sir. And the balance 8 laptops, he is not given confirmation to me to purchase, not he returned back to me, sir. Okay, in that case, invoice be issued for 2 laptops when the buyer confirmed to purchase within 6 months. And the balance 8 products, you raise the invoice on the first day after expiry of 6 months from date of dispatch. So there are 2 time of supplies in a given case. Is clear from the supplier point of view. What about from the buyer point of view? Buyer accept to purchase within 6 months 2 laptops, confirm. Balance 8 laptops, he returned within 6 months, returned, sir, goodbye. Not returned, sir. Neither confirmed to purchase, but not returned, sir, within 6 months. Balance 8 laptops. Then when he confirmed, when he returned, after expiry of 6 months, sir, in that case, hey, prospective buyer, for you, this 8 laptops is sale taken place already on the first day after expiry of 6 months from date of invoice. That means you are the owner of the goods. 8 invoices. You get my point? You are the owner of the goods for 8 invoices, 8 products. No, sir. After expiry of 6 months, I am returning back, sir. Returning back, you registered person only, no? Yes, sir. I am a registered person, sir. He is a supply for you also, for 8 laptops. Because 8 laptops supply for supplier on first day after expiry of 6 months from date of dispatch. Supply taken by, sir, invoice raised in the name of Bharatwaj. Bharatwaj is one of the goods, 8 laptops. This 8 laptops, Bharatwaj is returning back to supplier when after expiry of 6 months from date of receipt. In that case, for Bharatwaj, it is supply of goods. It's good only. Then only the GST will be get separated. When the supplier raises the invoice with the GST, no, Raja, can take ITC. Where Bharatwaj. Now Bharatwaj supplying back, returning back 8 laptops after expired 6 months. For Bharatwaj supply, Bharatwaj should raise the invoice with the GST. Then we take the credit by the supplier. So tax neutralized. But it should be with the sale entry in the books. Mr. Accountant, be careful. Get the clarity, sir? As simple as that. It's a practice. Now please come back. This provision, goods sent on sale or approval basis, not applicable for supply of services. ஏம்பா ஸ்டூடெண்ட் நீங்கள் வந்தீங்க கிளாஸ்க்கு, சார் ஃபஸ்ட்டு சார் ரஃபி சார் கிளாஸ் சொல்லட்டும், நான் கேட்பேன், நல்லா நான் புரிஞ்சிச்சுன்னா அப்புறமேட்டுக்கு ஐ வில் மேக் த பேமெண்ட். டெஸ்ட் பண்ணி நான் வந்து எடுக்கிறேன். ஸோ கிளாஸ்க்கு வந்துட்டாங்க, ஒரு ஸ்டூடெண்ட் எக்ஸ் வந்தார். பிசி சார், ஐயா புரிஞ்சிச்சா, சார் கிளாஸ் நல்லா இருக்கா, டெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறேன் சார், வெயிட் பண்ணுங்க, 1 month 2 months 3 months கிளாஸ் ஓவர். பார்த்து சார், சார் நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா, புரிஞ்சிச்சா கிளாஸ், டெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறேன் சார், எக்ஸாம் எடுத்து சொல்கிறேன் சார், எக்ஸாம் எடுத்து சொல்கிறேன் சார், எக்ஸாம் வச்சுட்டு பாஸ் பண்ணிட்டாங்க, பாஸ் பண்ணிங்களா சார், ஓகேவா, நான் கன்ஃபார்மா, கேன் யூ மேக் த பேமெண்ட், ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணி சொல்கிறேன் சார். ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணும்போது உனக்கு பிடிக்கல ப்ராக்டிஸு, அப்போ ரஃபி சார் சொல்றது நல்லா இல்லை, எனக்கு வானா எடுத்துக்கோ, அது பண்ண முடியுமா? 6 months இருக்கு. 3 months அட்டன் பண்ணீங்க, பாஸ் பண்ணிட்டீங்க, எக்ஸாம் உடனே எக்ஸாம் எடுத்துட்டீங்க, பாஸ் பண்ணீங்க. தென் ப்ராக்டிஸில் நீங்கள் உங்கள் பிடிக்கல ப்ராக்டிஸ், பிகாஸ் ப்ராக்டிஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் சினாரியோ, எனக்கு பிடிக்கல, எனக்கு வானா ரஃபி சார் கிளாஸு சொன்னால் சொல்ல முடியுமா? தட் மீன்ஸ் ஐ மீன் டு சே தட், but bring you to notice, this provision is not fit for the supply of services. Therefore, it is not applicable. That's the reason, my dear, supply of services, date of invoice, date of payment, whichever is earlier. Even adi illa invoice, date of completion of service or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Payment vandano illa parvala, nee katni GST, because provide services na, provide services sir, sufficient pay the GST. Payment valla sir em maatiranga sir, ఇది உங்களோட சௌகரியம், இட் இஸ் யுவர் அப் டு யூ அண்ட் யுவர் ரிசிபென்ட். தேர் ஆர் கிளைண்ட்ஸ், மை டியர் சார், மை கிளைண்ட்ஸ் கம், வை ஐ எம் நாட் கோயிங் ஃபார் பேட்ஸ், ஐ டெல் யூ, ஐ எம் நாட் ஹேவிங் த டெக்னிக் டு ஆஸ்க் அண்ட் கெட் தி பேமெண்ட் ஃப்ரம் தி கிளைண்ட். வருவாங்க, சர்டிஃபிகேஷன் பண்ணுவாங்க, சார் இது பண்ணுங்க, அது பண்ணுங்க, காஸ்ட் ரைட் அது இது சொல்லிட்டு சர்டிஃபை வாங்குவாங்க, சர்டிஃபைட். ஆஃப்டர் தட் பேமெண்ட் தந்துடும் சார், அவ்வளோதான். திருப்பி பார்க்க முடியும், ஃபோன் எடுத்தால் நோ ரிப்ளை, ரிங் போயிட்டே இருக்கும், அவ்வளோதான். பட் திஸ் இஸ் டாக்டிக் டு ப்ராக்டிஸ், சும்மா கிடையாது ப்ராக்டிஸ். எனக்கு அந்த திறமை இல்லை போல இருக்கு, கெட் மை பாயிண்ட். பட் யூ கேன் ஹேவ் தட் ப்ராக்டிஸ் டாக்டிக்ஸ், தட் இஸ் டு ஜெனரேட் தி ரெவென்யூ, அன்லெஸ் அதர்வைஸ் டிஃபிகல்ட் டு சர்வ் தி ப்ரொஃபஷன். யூ ஹேவ் சோ மெனி சர்டிஃபிகேஷன்ஸ் இன் ஜிஎஸ்டி லாஸ். இவன் சும்மா சொல்கிற ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்கிறேன், பிகாஸ் யுவர் ஃபைனல் லெவல் இஸ் a premature refer, but you are not, it is premature refer, but you are highly mature enough to understand. இப்போ நான் சப்ளையர், நீங்கள் ரிசிபெண்ட், நான் குட்ஸ் சப்ளை பண்ணேன், சேல் ஆயிடுச்சு, நீங்கள் வாங்கிட்டீங்க, மை சப்ளை 1 crore, ஜிஎஸ்டி 18%, அப்போ எவ்வளோ வருது? 18 lakhs. இஸ் கிளியர் பாபா? ஒரு சிம்பிள் எக்ஸாம்பிள், ஒரு இன்வாய்ஸ் நீங்கள் என்ன பண்ணீங்க, வாங்கின அப்புறமேட்டுக்கு பாதி பொருள் யூ ரிட்டர்ன் பேக் டு மீ, ஃபார் யூ பர்ச்சேஸ் ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ், ஃபார் மீ சேல்ஸ் ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ். அப்போ நான் என்ன பண்ண வேண்டும்? ஐ ஹேவ் டு இஷ்யூ டு யூ கிரெடிட் நோட், சப்ளை இஷ்யூ கிரெடிட் நோட், யூ இஷ்யூ டு மீ டெபிட் நோட். மீனிங் என்ன? எனக்கு கிரெடிட் நோட் 50 lakhs, ஜிஎஸ்டி 9 lakhs is my credit. Earlier when I sold the goods 100 lakhs, GST 18 lakhs is my liability. 18 lakhs liability, now credit I taken. How much? 9 lakhs. So my net liability to pay 9 lakhs. My liability what I put department only is a credit for you. Correct, Papa? நீ என்ன பண்ணுறீங்க, purchase recorded and credit taken 18 lakhs. Now written 50%, 50 lakhs. That time you should debit note. Your debit note, GST thereon is your liability. If you reverse the credit only, I can avail the ITC. You get my point? There is no mechanism even today in the GST network portal whether the buyer is reverse the credit or not to avail the ITC by the supplier based on his credit note. நானே கிரெடிட் ஒன்று இஷ்யூ பண்ணுறேன், கிரெடிட் எடுக்கிறேன். அப்போது பையர் வந்து டு த எக்ஸ்டென்ட் ரிவர்ஸ் த கிரெடிட் ஆர் நாட், சிஸ்டம் ஹேஸ் நோ செக், ஜிஎஸ்டி ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் ஹேஸ் நோ செக், ஜிஎஸ்டி R2B has no control on it. In this situation, recently one notification came, a circular, CBIC said, if the value of tax portion which availing ITC on credit note based on the reversal of ITC by the buyer in a financial year exceeds 5 lakhs, there must be a chartered accountant or a cost accountant certificate must. Then who has to obtain what? Seller should obtain from the buyer books of accounts verified by the cost accountant and certified. Cost accountant certified by verifying the books of accounts of the buyer. Yes, so and so buyer on so and so invoice reverse the ITC of rupees 9 lakhs. I have verified and satisfied. That certificate should obtain by the seller and keep in his records. Tomorrow, audit team, department audit, section 65 came for audit. Hey, Enapa, you taken the credit of 9 lakhs, whether buyer reverse the credit or not? Sir, yes sir, buyer reverse the credit, sir. What is the proof? See, my cost accountant certified this by verifying the books of accounts of the buyer. Our buyer responsibility is to take the certificate from a CR CMA and that CR CMA should hand over to seller. Seller should keep in record. Tomorrow any department query rise with regard to this certificate highly sufficient. Further no query, no investigation, no issues arises. Why? Because you are the accountant. This certificate is given to you. You certify, will accept. Just I am telling you one point. This point I am going to refer again under the input as script chapter. That's why I referred. It's a premature to refer, but you are mature enough to understand. So, at this point of time, I am concluding the class. Continuation from here we will by next class. Next class will be on Monday. Thank you, my dear friends. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.